We promised you a juicy big link today with Nottingham Forest, and we've got you one. Welcome to your transfer news. Good morning, good evening, or good night, wherever in the world you are, whatever time of day you're watching this. Hope you're having a fantastic day, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest transfer news. In today's video, we're going to be talking about finally a top-notch, I'd even go as far to say as marquee signing, potentially linked with Nottingham Forest. But how strong are these rumours? We'll jump into that. Another left-back has been linked to Forest with ties into the club already. And as always, there's been a few little movements on the whole Dean Henderson story. Before we get into all of that, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. Make sure you go grab your signed Brennan Johnson tickets. There's only a few left. Don't miss out. Let's jump into the news, and we've got to start with this legend. The 26, soon to be 27-year-old Sofyan Amrabat, who plays currently at Fiorentina, is up for sale. And what a player he is. He is perfect for Nottingham Forest. He is an out-and-out CDM. But what does he do? He allows those players around him to move further up the pitch, as he is good enough to control that central region of the park beautifully. Was one of the players of the World Cup for me, playing for Morocco, got really deep into the tournament with them and took Fiorentina to the final of the Eurotrash Cup, where, as Jace will keep reminding us, they lost to West Ham. But what does he bring? He brings leadership, he brings strength, and he brings a good passing range. And he's very, very rare. Look, I've always gone on about CDMs in this transfer window. In fact, over the last few months, and how Forest have zero nutter in the squad at all who can play this role. And that's why I've liked the likes of Tyler Adams. I've liked Amrabat. I've liked a few others as well. But for me, this guy is a level above the likes of Tyler Adams, in my opinion. Would I be happy with Tyler Adams? Yes. But if you offered me Amrabat over Tyler Adams, I'm taking him every single day of the week. I think he is perfect for the Premier League. And more importantly, perfect for Nottingham Forest. Now, he does come with somewhat of a hefty price tag, 30 million euros. But technically speaking, as we've told you, Leeds are trying to get £40 million for Tyler Adams. Now, they'll never get that in a month of Sundays. But already, Amrabat is about 12 million cheaper if you convert the euros. And he could be a real good, cheap, viable option. I use that word loosely, I know. Now, some of you are going to say, get your head out your ass. Forest can't get him. There are other clubs involved. Yes, there are. There are the likes of Man U have been linked to him. I think Arsenal have had loose links to him, to name but a few. And across Europe, he is extremely popular. So I am under no illusions that this one would be so tough to get over the line. But we can't have it both ways. We can't say we're disappointed with the players that are being linked, and then when we get a gem like this linked to Nottingham Forest, complain because some people in the fan base will be like, we're never going to get him. I do remind you guys that we were able to get 3 times Champions League winner Navas through the door in January. We got Jesse Lingard, like him or hate him. We got him through the door. There is still a pull to Nottingham Forest because of the Premier League football that can be offered. Now, guess what? Shock horror. West Ham are also interested in him, and they're the club probably showing the most signs of life in and around him. They would see him as the ideal replacement for Declan Rice. But I still do think that if the Greek father gets hold of Amrabat, makes him an offer he can't refuse, then Forest do stand a chance. But realistically, there's no way I'm putting us as front runners for this. I'm just happy that we are looking still at CDMs and at top quality CDMs. Likes of him, the likes of Tyler Adams. For me, either would do a fantastic job at Nottingham Forest. Now, the spotlight was put on him in the World Cup. As I mentioned earlier, he was one of the players of the tournament, really helping Morocco to get in deep. So international pedigree is something he's already got. He's not scared to play in high-profile games. I use the word loosely again with the Eurotrash final. I thought he was decent there. Thank you, Rob, for subscribing. But yeah, this one really does excite me. And I think for 30 million euros, I think this would be an absolute bargain and the most ideal player Forest would pick up this transfer window. What do you guys think of him? I know a lot of you are fans of him. And would you like to see him at Forest? And if you think he's above our pay grade, so to speak, let me know why in the comments down below. Get your thoughts in. Okay, let's move on and talk about the left back position. The left back position is getting a little ugly, as it seems more and more less likely that Renan Lodi will be returning back to the City ground. It's gone very quiet for those of you, and I know there's been a few messages asking me about him. There's been no new reports with any real talks happening between Forest and Atletico Madrid. There has been still, from my understanding, that Forest's still #1 target would be Augusto, but with Inter being heavily linked to him, Forest think that it's probably unlikely that they'll be able to get him over the line, unless, of course, Marinakis does a Marinakis thing when he buys the club and sends him our way. That's our best hope on it. But currently, Forest are going to have to look for option C. And option C is Aaron Martins, who plays for Mainz. Mainz being Nia Kate's ex-club, and also he's played with Awani back then as well. So there are strong links into the Nottingham Forest squad for him. He's 26 years old. He's got about 5 goals and a couple of assists in the last season. And he is very good at getting forward. And he's actually probably suited to the style that Steve Cooper would look to implement next season. Now, is he good enough for the Premier League? That's where it gets a little iffy for me. I don't know yet. I don't know. I've not seen enough of him to give him a judgment call to see if I feel that he can reflect well into the Premier League or not. But for free, because his contract has expired, it's a no-risk one for me. And I think it's good as an option C for Nottingham Forest. I still think my option #1 would, of course, be Renan Lodi. Option 2, I would like to see this Augusto guy coming in. And this would be a third choice. But I would actually say that if we could get Omar Richards fit, I think people forget what a good player he is. He was fantastic at Reading, and he was good in the games he played for Bayern Munich. So he's got experience at both championship level, and he's got experience at a high-profile club like Bayern Munich. The big problem with him and the big risk factor with him is he fit, and will he get fit? We've had no real updates on him since the last time Steve Cooper spoke to say he had a setback, and that setback was from a couple of months ago. Nothing since then at all. I would assume that his leg has grown back by now and that he is able to walk on too. But you also have to wonder, and again, this is just me speculating and giving you my opinion, does he really want to play? Because it doesn't feel like there's been that drive from him to get himself fit and get himself ready. I know, look, setbacks are setbacks. Whatever this setback is, we don't know. But how badly has he been trying? I remember before Christmas, there was talks that him and Nia Kate were on the same kind of page in terms of return dates. And then we saw Nia Kate come through and Omar Richards get another setback back then. So it's an interesting one. I mean, will he ever play for Forest is another question. I know some of you guys have been questioning that. I think he will, and I really do think he could be the right deputy for Lodi if we don't get that deal over the line. And I still think I would risk trying him out because he is pacey, he is fast, he is aggressive on that left-hand side, and he would do a great job, I think, in the Premier League. What do you guys think on Omar Richards, and what do you guys think on Aaron Martin? Which one would you rather start? Or would you still persist with Augusto? Augusto, is still very high on Forest's priority list. But as I mentioned, because of his cheapness at 8 million, Inter are really sniffing hard around for him. So I'm not that convinced that he will come. And I don't think the Greek father and the Forest hierarchy are as well. But get your thoughts in on that down below. All right, let's move on to a very quick update on Dean Henderson. I know we've spoken about him a lot over this transfer window already, but more news keeps developing and breaking with him. So if you remember, Manchester United at the start of the window wanted 30 million for Dean Henderson. There are talks now that they've moved their asking price down to 25 mil, but Nottingham Forest still don't want to go that high on Dino. And I actually applaud them for it. I personally would rate him at about 20 million. I think 20 million would be the sweet spot for this deal. And I think Forest's valuation is probably in and around there. Because you've got to add on top of that his wage demands. His wage demands will be about 100k. That's what he was on at Manchester United. That's what we were having to pay. I think we were paying most of that salary last season for him. So maybe Forest can knock off 10% of that or something like that in a deal to get him over the line, with maybe some clean sheet bonuses and, you know, a few add-ons, etc. So I don't see the wages as being the problem. And it's still the same stumbling blocks about Manchester United needing another keeper and refusing to do business. But now they have dropped their price tag. It's a sign of weakness as far as I'm concerned. As I've always said, Forest should have the power in this deal, and Forest should be the ones dictating the terms and the timeframes of this deal. And I don't feel we're doing the greatest job on it, to be honest. But now that there has been movement, it does fill me with a little hope that Manchester United are starting to panic a little because they need to raise some funds to fund their transfer season this summer. So good news in a way that it's down to 25 mil. Forest is still making very clear hints that Dean Henderson is their number one choice for goalkeeper. But again, they do have a plan B and C with the keepers we've mentioned. I won't go back over old grounds. So overall, it's starting to ramp up. This transfer window is starting to slowly take shape, with a clear indicator really on where the priority positions are for Nottingham Forest. Obviously, goalkeeper, left back and CDM. And there has been a few links to wingers. Now, the bookies still make Nottingham Forest favourite for Hudson-Odoi from Chelsea. Those talks, though, have been very, very quiet recently. I know a lot of you guys are interested in him. But it sounds like it could be one that Forest do get done. Now, again, Chelsea were in a bit of a pickle and would have had to sell about 50 to 70 million pre the end of June to comply with financial fair play regulations. But now that the Saudis have come in to bail them out and Manchester United and Arsenal look to be funding their bailout, then maybe the speed and necessity to sell Hudson-Odoi won't be as quick for Chelsea. What it will also mean, though, is they're not going to demand as much money for him, as those financial fair play clouds won't be hanging over them too much. So I can see that deal getting done, but I don't think it will be a fast-track deal now, especially with all the good news that Chelsea are getting from the Saudis. But would you guys still take Callum Hudson-Odoi? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, so that brings you up to date with your latest Nottingham Forest transfer and some tasty names for us to finally get our teeth into. Look, as I mentioned at the start of the video, this is Rumoursville. There's nothing cemented about Amrabat, but God, would he be absolutely perfect for us. Get your thoughts and your comments in on him and all the other players we've talked about today. If you haven't already, before you leave, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And if anything else breaks, we'll be back with more transfer news. But until then, come on you Reds.